Enterprise Management 360.
Hello everyone and welcome to this week's episode of Tech Chat. Now in today's episode I'll be speaking to Dana Corey, who is the SVP and GM at Avocor. So welcome Dana, and thanks for joining us on today's show.
Thanks Max, thanks for having me.
Very welcome. For long-time viewers of Tech Chat, if you checked out the website back in November, Dana contributed an article to us on how to implement digital transformation and collaboration as a business continuity strategy. And today we're going to be expanding on that topic a little bit more. Before we get into that, Dana, I just wanted to get from yourself a bit of background on you and Avocor, if you don't mind.
Yeah, thanks Max. So myself, been with Avocor for about 4 years since its near inception. The start of Avocor, if you will, came from Scott Hicks, our founder, among a few others, to look at this interactive category, watching the momentum around, quite honestly, Surface Hub, Microsoft, 6 years ago, Perceptive Pixel before that, and just watching the transition of collaboration into the meeting space and watching the technology advance. And then from that point began the journey of Avocor.
Yeah, I want to expand on that a little bit further and kick off the show here by asking you, what are the main business benefits of adding digital transformation, particularly within the remit of team collaboration and communication, into these business continuity plans, especially going forward from now?
You know, the benefits kind of remain. It's a note from educators from the last 20 years of retention, engagement, and adopting and teamwork, if you will. Mm-hmm. So digital transformation, obviously, an extension of that is to take that more analog, if you will, into the digital space. We saw this year the proliferation of video, where Zoom and Teams became household names literally overnight. In that realm, I was just speaking to a large enterprise client earlier this morning. When our users back March of last year left to go work from home, if you will, we were first graders in video and digital for the most part, or whatever schooling you have. And then when we come back, though, now we're to keep that reference going, we're high schools in the sense of experiences and education around video in particular. So digital transformation more than ever is at the highest because our users are smarter than when they left and more capable, more used to this. I mean, I don't do any calls really ever these days with nobody on video. If they're not on video, I feel weird. I feel like they're trying to avoid me or something.
Yeah.
So what that means is we begin to look at the benefits of it. We're looking at the research done by educators. We know that when we collaborate as teams, have an engagement around even physically moving around and talking and visualizing and sharing things, including annotating and interacting, the benefits.
Yeah, definitely 100% agree. And this is an area we're seeing growing, and obviously the past year, as you mentioned there, has seen that rapid increase for sure. And seeing that next step and where it's going is so interesting to see where we're going in the future. And I think a lot of organizations have a lot of stuff to figure out because a lot of this stuff was kind of bought in quite quickly, quite on demand, and it's coming up with that plan going forward. So I'm curious to know from your perspective, what organizations need to be considering before applying any kind of new business continuity strategy to their business.
There's probably three main things. We just talked about one a little bit, which is the democratization of video. They've got to recognize that they must have a digital first culture, because if video is now the prolificated element within people's experiences, whether it be in office or at home, then you have to have enabling this video and digital culture. That's the first thing. Second would be, again, just referencing some of the most recent calls on this, is flexible workspaces and work environments. In this time now, for however long that is, and it may stay to some percentage forever, is spontaneous collaboration, right? Stand-up areas that were once not a never area, now being places for people to collaborate. And collaboration doesn't always mean video. It can mean walk up, share content, remember routine, and then leave, right? It could be a video call with others on the outside. So the hard part they have is if they adopt the digital first culture, they've got spontaneous collaboration spaces that need to either do video at times, collaboration at times, or both, right? So you've got those kind of stresses that's happening. Mobility seems to be the big thing around that. Mobile in the sense of moving displays around, taking spaces that were not necessarily thought to be collaboration, but now are, because now you've got this. Can they be pushed around by employees? Can they be even moved around by guided GPSs to move to locations, so that you can have these stand-ups, if you will. And then finally, on the third part of that would be future-proofing. For when there is some level of, and I hate to say this word because it's used a lot, normalcy, right? Or return to normalcy, Because if you envision there's a time where there's a hybrid, there's probably some factor that's always hybrid from this point forward. And then there's some that's back to what it was. If you develop a culture and spaces that don't have an eye towards the future proofing, you'll buy technology that may at some point be like, well, we can't use it for the long term. So basically look at technology, hardware solutions that then enable future proofing. So if one day it goes from a spontaneous collaboration to a fixed install, it should not change on the hardware side.
Yeah, very key. And I think that future proofing is going to become even more of a factor over the next kind of 12 to 18 months, because as you say, people are going to be working differently. I agree with you. The term new normal is a frustrating term to say the least, but
yeah.
it is a case of some people will be working from home, some people will be in the office. You've got to balance that collaboration between teams. So how can organizations best implement this framework and seamlessly slot it into their existing plans without uprooting or changing too much of what's going on at the moment?
Yeah, I think one is, if you weren't doing video before, you got to do it now.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not embracing video, you're late to the game, because of the reasons we just talked about and the factors that are there. So definitely, first off, if you're not down the path of framework of videos, you got to get that in place right away. And this includes SMBs. This is not just large enterprises. This is, small, medium businesses as well. And the other thing when it comes to framework, and this is our general approach always, is looking at solutions that are agnostic or interoperable within many platforms. The one thing that was definitely learned in 2020 was, if you had gone down a path of a single solution that was contained in a box, there was convenience to that prior, because it meant that delivering and deploying was much easier. But when you found out that you had to do a left turn and go to work from home, if that system was not enough in the office or to enable both, you bought something that really was not scalable or flexible enough. So our approach has always been, and especially at Avocor, look at things that are agnostic. Can I go from, at one point, a Teams call to a Zoom call? What if my user base asks for another application in that space? Can I embrace that application? How do I bring that into the space?
Mm-hmm.
Do I need to change the hardware on the wall to do that? In our world, the answer should be never. The displays on the wall have enough horsepower in them, interactivity and compatibility and image quality to last years.
Yeah.
So our approach is that way. Whereas others have taken an approach where, no, this is a solution for this particular product or this platform. That's it. That's all you can do. And that has proven to be not an ideal scenario. And if that's a big lesson from pandemic. So adding that to their framework would probably be another great idea.
Yeah, it's why limit yourself. The future proofing is so important, and foreseeing issues is something we always speak about, and it's so important. So Dana, all I can say is thanks for coming on today's episode, walking us through all of this. It's been great getting your insight.
Yeah, you bet, Max. I could talk about this for hours, by the way. So
Exactly.
Happy to do it.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Dana. And thank you, everyone who took the time to watch this episode. We hope you took a lot away. Please do check out Dana's article. We've got it linked down in the description below. For more information on what we've discussed today, head on over to avocor.com for some great resources and further information. We'll be back next week with another episode in our Tech Chat series. Until then, please join the conversation at EM360 on Twitter and LinkedIn. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. And of course, for more great daily content, head on over to EM360tech.com.